Have you ever felt like you're pouring everything into someone else and slowly running on empty yourself? You're not alone. Meet Sarah, a 58-year-old woman caring for her husband diagnosed with dementia. Every day is a cycle of medicine meals and memory lapses. But what broke her wasn't the routine. It was the moment she fainted from exhaustion alone in the kitchen. That day, Sarah realized, I can't pour from an empty cup. If you're a caregiver, your health matters just as much as the one you care for. And today, we're going to talk about 10 heartfelt, science-backed ways you can care for yourself while still showing up for the one you love. Why your health matters. 2. Have you ever walked into a room, looked at your loved one, and thought, I'm the strong one here. I have to hold it all together. That quiet strength, it's what holds families up. But sometimes, in giving everything to someone else, we slowly give away pieces of ourselves. You're not alone in this. Let me tell you about Mark. He's 63, retired early to care for his wife, who was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. For the first year, Mark poured everything into caregiving, tracking medications, preparing meals, cleaning, even helping her bathe. But in all that effort, he stopped going for his walks. He skipped his doctor's appointment. He told his friends he was too busy to meet up. Then one afternoon, after helping his wife into bed, Mark sat down and cried, not because of her condition, but because he didn't recognize the man he had become. He felt invisible, exhausted, alone. It took a visit from his daughter to change things. She said something simple but powerful. Dad, she needs you healthy, not just here, but whole. That moment hit home. Because the truth is, your health matters too. It's not selfish to care for yourself. In fact, it's the most generous thing you can do for the person you love. When you're rested, nourished, emotionally grounded, you become a better listener, a calmer presence, a steadier support. Think about this. Airlines always tell us to put your oxygen mask on first before helping others. Why? Because without breath, you can't save anyone else. You are the anchor in someone's storm, and anchors need to be strong. So today, just for a moment, check in with you. How are you feeling really? When was the last time you had a full night's sleep, or laughed with a friend, or took 30 quiet minutes just for yourself? You deserve those things. Not as a reward, but as a right. Because while your loved one battles dementia, you matter too. The hidden toll of caregiving. You've made the decision to be there day in and day out for someone who can no longer care for themselves. And that choice is sacred. But let's also talk about the cost. Not the financial one, but the quiet emotional toll that caregiving can take on your soul. Because here's the truth, caregiving doesn't come with applause. There are no medals for brushing someone's hair every morning or gently repeating the same answer to the same question for the 10th time in an hour. No one sees the moments at 3 a.m. when you're still awake worrying about the future. And yet you carry it all with love, with grace. But even the strongest hearts need rest. Carol, a 61-year-old mother of 3, took care of her father during the final years of his dementia. She said the hardest part wasn't the physical tasks. It was the emotional weight. She missed her father's stories, his humor, the way he used to call her Pumpkin. The man she knew seemed to fade more each day, and in her quiet grief, she didn't feel allowed to say, This is hard. Over time, Carol began to feel anxious all the time. Her sleep became restless. She'd forget to eat, then feel dizzy. One afternoon, at the grocery store, she had a panic attack in aisle 6. It was her body's way of crying out, "Please don't forget about me." And if you're nodding as you hear this, it might be your body whispering the same thing. Stress, anxiety, and depression are real risks for caregivers, especially those over 50. Your mind, your heart, even your immune system, they all carry the burden, even when you pretend you're fine. But acknowledging the toll is not weakness, it's wisdom. Take time to check in, not just with your loved one, but with yourself. Ask, am I sleeping enough? Have I smiled today? Is there someone I can talk to about how I really feel? Because caring for someone with dementia is an act of deep love. But loving yourself through it, that's an act of courage. Tiny breaks, big impact. After acknowledging the emotional weight of caregiving, the next question becomes, what now? How do you carry that weight without letting it crush your spirit? The answer, surprisingly, isn't a grand vacation or a week-long retreat. Though those sound lovely, it's something much smaller and more powerful. Tiny breaks, moments that are just for you. Joanne, 67, discovered this after nearly burning out. She had been caring for her older sister who no longer recognized her name. Every day was filled with to-do lists, routines, and quiet heartbreak. Joanne didn't feel like she had time for herself, not even 5 minutes. But one morning, something changed. She woke up before her sister and brewed a cup of tea. She sat by the window, just watching the sun rise, letting the warmth of the mug rest in her hands. No phone, no noise, just stillness. That 10-minute pause became her sanctuary. Over time, she began building more of these tiny breaks into her day, listening to her favorite jazz tune during lunch, lighting a candle while doing evening dishes, writing one line in her gratitude journal before bed. And you know what? Joanne didn't change the world, but she changed her world. These moments aren't about escaping responsibility. They're about reclaiming parts of yourself that caregiving can quietly steal. So, what could your break look like? Maybe it's a 5-minute walk in the garden, reading a chapter of a novel from your youth sitting in your car, windows down, music on just breathing, calling an old friend to hear a familiar voice. Whatever it is, give yourself permission, because small, intentional pauses don't just help you rest, they help you remember who you are beyond the caregiver role. Even 10 minutes a day can refill the emotional tank that love keeps emptying. You are not just surviving this season, you're allowed to live inside it, one break at a time. Move to recharge everyday fitness, those little breaks we just talked about. They aren't just for the heart, they're for the body too. Because caregiving, while an act of deep love, can quietly wear you down physically, aching backs from lifting sore knees, from standing, and a constant fatigue that no cup of coffee can fix. But here's something beautiful. Your body wants to heal with you. And movement, gentle, joyful movement, is one of the most powerful ways to begin. Let me tell you about Tom. He's 70, a retired teacher, now full-time caregiver for his brother with advanced dementia. For a long time, Tom believed exercise had to mean long workouts at the gym, something he simply didn't have time or energy for. Until one day, his neighbor invited him for a short walk after dinner. That simple routine, just 20 minutes around the block, became sacred. It wasn't about calories or cardio. It was about breathing, about letting go, about watching the seasons change and realizing he was still part of them. That walk changed everything. Physical movement doesn't have to be overwhelming. For people in their 50s, 60s, and beyond, it can be as simple as stretching for 5 minutes in the morning, turning on soft music and dancing in the kitchen, joining a gentle yoga class at the community center, walking barefoot in the grass while your loved one naps. And the benefits go far beyond the physical. Movement boosts mood, clears the fog of fatigue, helps you sleep better, and gives your mind a moment of quiet. You don't have to train for a marathon. You just need to move in a way that feels good, natural, and real to you. Because every step you take, every stretch, every breath is a reminder you still belong to your body, and your body wants to carry you through this journey with strength, softness, and grace. Start where you are, even if it's just standing up, rolling your shoulders and saying, "This is for me." That's movement. That's healing. That's enough. Don't wait. Doctor first. Always. We've talked about rest. We've talked about movement. But there's another part of your well-being that too often gets pushed to the bottom of the list: your health checkups. And if we're honest, when was the last time you saw your doctor? Not for your loved one, for you. It's easy to put it off. Another month, another reason, another "I'll go after" this crisis settles down. But here's the quiet truth. Your body is whispering long before it screams. Let me share George's story. He's 66, caring for his wife with dementia. For months, he ignored the headaches, the constant fatigue, the shortness of breath when climbing stairs. He chalked it up to stress, to aging, to just being tired. Then one morning, while helping his wife to the bathroom, he collapsed. A neighbor found them both on the floor. At the hospital, George was diagnosed with high blood pressure and early signs of heart disease. His doctor said, if you had waited another month, it might have been too late. That moment shook him, not because he was afraid for himself, but because he realized if something happened to him, who would be there for her? Preventive care isn't just about prolonging your life. It's about protecting the person who depends on you. So go to that physical. Schedule the blood work. Ask your doctor about the flu shot or shingles vaccine, especially if your loved one is immune compromised. And be honest about how you're really doing. Share your stress levels. Talk about your sleep, your emotions, your pain. Your doctor isn't just there to treat symptoms. They're there to help you live well through this season. Remember, your health is the foundation that your caregiving stands on. Don't wait for the breakdown. Listen now, act now, care now, because staying strong for them means staying honest with yourself. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is sit on that exam table and say, I need help too. You are what you eat. Literally, after that doctor's visit, maybe you walked out holding a few papers, a new prescription, and a quiet promise to yourself, I'm going to take better care of my body. And it starts so often, right in the kitchen. The meals we make, the ones we skip or rush through or eat, standing up while multitasking, are more than food. They're messages. They say I matter or I don't have time. They say I deserve nourishment or I'll eat whatever's left over. But what if starting today, we let food become a form of self-care? Let me introduce you to Linda, 65, who cared for her mother for nearly 6 years. At first, meals were an afterthought. Canned soup, microwave dinners, a handful of crackers with peanut butter. Until One afternoon, her mom looked at the bland sandwich on the table and said, "Did we stop making things with love?" It stopped Linda in her tracks. From that day on, she made one small change, cooking one fresh, simple meal a day. Nothing fancy, just intentional. Grilled salmon with lemon, a bowl of vegetable soup, fresh berries, and Greek yogurt for dessert. And slowly she felt different, more energy, clearer mind, softer moods. Nutrition became her quiet rebellion against burnout. You don't need to overhaul your entire diet overnight, but try this. Add color to your plate: greens, reds, purples, from fruits and veggies. Choose whole grains over white starches. Incorporate healthy fats, olive oil, avocado nuts. Swap one processed snack for something fresh and vibrant. And here's a beautiful thing. Food can reconnect too. Invite your loved one, if possible, to join in the process. Snap green beans together. Stir the soup pot. Taste test herbs. Even if they forget later, in that moment, you shared something warm and human. Because nourishment isn't just for the body, it's for the soul. And you, dear caregiver, deserve meals made with love. Not just for them, but for you. Asking for help isn't weak, it's wise. After a warm meal, shared in quiet connection, you might feel a small sense of peace. But then, life returns. Dishes to clean, medication to give, the slow shuffle down the hallway, and again, you're the one holding it all. But what if you didn't have to hold it alone? For many caregivers, especially those over 50, asking for help feels unnatural. You've lived a life of strength, of holding others up. You've raised children, managed crises, survived heartbreak. So when someone says, "Let me know if you need anything," your instinct might be to smile and say, "I've got it." But here's the truth. Strength isn't doing everything. It's knowing when you can't. I'd like you to meet Walter. He's 72, caring for his partner of 40 years. Walter is a proud man, retired military, always independent. But over time, he noticed he was forgetting things, misplacing keys, burning dinner, snapping in frustration. One day his daughter visited and found him dozing off while a pot boiled dry. She sat beside him, took his hand, and simply said, "You don't have to do this alone." That night, Walter allowed her to call a local caregiver support group. The next week, he joined a Zoom meeting with people just like him. Strangers at first, now friends who understand without him needing to explain. He also began rotating help with neighbors and family. Just a few hours a week, a meal delivered, a ride to the pharmacy, a friend sitting with his partner while he went for a walk. And slowly the burden lifted, not because the work disappeared, but because it was shared. Asking for help doesn't make you less of a caregiver. It makes you human. Look around. Who can you call? A sibling, a friend, a neighbor, your church. There are support groups in your town, online forums, even local volunteers who want to help you. Just have to let them. Because when you let someone step in, you're not failing. You're giving love more room to breathe. For you, for them, for everyone. Sleep the forgotten lifeline. When someone finally says, "Let me help," and you allow it, you might be surprised by what your body asks for first. Not a vacation, not a fancy dinner, just rest. For many caregivers, sleep becomes a luxury. Interrupted nights, early mornings, minds that won't shut off even when the house is still. But here's the truth. Sleep isn't a bonus. It's your foundation. It's the one thing that affects everything else: your memory, your patience, your immune system, your heart. Let me tell you about Frances. She's 69, a retired librarian who now takes care of her younger brother, diagnosed with dementia at just 62. For over a year, Frances existed in a kind of fog, napping here and there, staying up late to clean, waking multiple times to check on him. She thought she was managing until she wasn't. One morning, Frances forgot to give her brother his heart medication. She found it hours later, still sitting on the counter. The guilt was immediate, overwhelming. That night, she finally spoke with her doctor. The advice she got changed everything. You don't just need rest, you need a rhythm. And so she began building one. A set bedtime, same time every night, even on weekends. No screens an hour before bed. Soft instrumental, music to ease her mind. A warm cup of chamomile tea. Journaling, just 3 lines of gratitude. Within a week, she felt the difference. More alert, more present, less fog. Sleep, she realized, wasn't something to feel guilty about. It was something sacred, a gift to herself and to the one she was caring for. So tonight, before you finish that last chore, pause, ask yourself, am I running on fumes? And if the answer is yes, give yourself permission to lay it all down. The worries, the what ifs, the guilt. Close your eyes, because tomorrow's strength begins with tonight's surrender. And you, dear caregiver, have earned the right to rest. Stay social, stay strong. Once you've given yourself the rest you so deeply need, another quiet question begins to whisper through the silence. When was the last time I really connected with someone who sees me? Caregiving can be a sacred journey, but it can also be incredibly isolating. The days blur, conversations shrink to reminders and routines, and slowly, without meaning to, you begin to disappear from your own life. But you don't have to. Human connection isn't just comforting, it's healing. It reminds you that you are still here, not just as a caregiver, but as a friend, a sibling, a neighbor, a soul with stories worth sharing. Let me tell you about Maria, a 64-year-old woman caring for her husband with mid-stage Alzheimer's. Over time, the social invitations stopped, not out of cruelty, but uncertainty. People didn't know how to help, and Maria, feeling too tired to explain, let herself drift away. Then, one day, an old friend called, not to ask how her husband was, but to ask how she was. They talked for 10 minutes. Maria cried, and something cracked open. That night, she wrote down the names of 5 people she missed. The next week, she called one each day. Not long conversations, just connection. Now, every Friday, she meets a neighbor for tea. Every Sunday, she joins a caregiver support group online. And sometimes, when her husband naps, she calls her grandkids just to hear them laugh. These moments don't change her responsibilities, but they change her spirit. So today, think of someone you miss. Write a note, send a message, invite them to visit, or ask if you can call. If going out feels impossible, invite someone in. And if in-person connection is too hard right now, let technology be your bridge. Zoom, FaceTime, even a simple voice message, because you are not meant to walk this road alone. And every hello is a thread stitching you back into the fabric of life. Stay connected, stay human, stay strong. Your peace of mind deserves priority. After all the effort, the care, the sleepless nights, the quiet tears, and the small victories, you might ask yourself, is it okay for me to feel peace again? And the answer gently is yes. Not only is it okay, it's essential. Caregiving often feels like living in constant motion. There's always something next a pill, to give a meal, to make a behavior, to soothe. And even when the house is quiet, your mind is still racing, planning, bracing, remembering. But peace doesn't always come when the work ends. Sometimes it arrives when you make space for it, right in the middle of the chaos. Let me share Nancy's story. She's 68, caring for her adult son with early onset dementia. One evening, after an especially hard day, she sat on the porch and simply cried. But then she did something different. She took out a notebook and wrote 3 things she was still grateful for. The sun that finally peeked through the clouds, the way her son smiled when she played his favorite song, the strength in her body that helped her lift him again and again. That tiny act of reflection became her anchor. Each night she added 3 more, a moment of peace carved gently from the edge of exhaustion. And that's where your peace begins, not in the absence of struggle, but in the quiet acknowledgement of what's still good. So ask yourself, what moment today brought me calm? What beauty did I witness, even if fleeting? What part of me is still standing tall? Light a candle before bed. Read a verse that soothes you. Place your hand over your heart and simply breathe. You are not just surviving, you are still living deeply, bravely, beautifully. Peace isn't something you earn at the end of caregiving. It's something you deserve throughout it. And when you begin to believe that truly believe it, your journey softens, your heart steadies, and you remember you matter too. Caregiving isn't just about giving, it's about sustaining. Sarah learned this the hard way, but now her days include laughter, quiet coffee breaks, and even painting again while still caring for her husband. She's not perfect, but she's whole, and you can be too. If this message touched you, please like, share, and subscribe. Someone out there might need to hear it today. And remember, take care of you, because you're doing one of the most important jobs in the world. If you ever feel overwhelmed, don't hesitate to seek support. And if you want to dive deeper into stories like this, subscribe for more videos filled with empathy and empowerment.